How can medical bills affect an accident settlement? I want to talk about this today. It's the number one factor for insurance companies. And I've learned that over 20 years of practicing as a plaintiff's personal injury trial lawyer here in Georgia. And this applies throughout the country as to why it's the number one factor with insurance companies. And therefore, what do you do as a plaintiff knowing that this is the number one factor for insurance companies? So how much of a factor should it be for you as a plaintiff? And then stick around to the end because I'm going to give you the two ways that you can take this information and use it to your advantage when you are trying to settle an accident claim. After a car wreck, motorcycle wreck, truck wreck, it doesn't matter. So why is it the most important factor for an insurance company and the adjuster when they're valuing your accident claim? Well, because it is oftentimes the only empirical information and data that they can plug into their computer systems. They all use them and have the computer spit out a number. This is how insurance companies like to handle trying to settle cases, both pre-lawsuit and in lawsuits. Why? Because it takes away the human element of anything, and God forbid an adjuster gives more money because they feel bad for the plaintiff, that sort of thing. So they stuff this information empirically into a computer and it spits out a number. This is what you should settle it for. So it has a big component there and factor with the computer system, and therefore what the adjuster is going to have authority-wise. The only other empirical number would be lost wages. Oftentimes people don't have lost wages, or they have such little in lost wages you really don't want to argue over it. Doesn't really help your case. Now, it should not be the number one focus for a plaintiff, okay? My biggest takeaway from my 20 years of practice is the biggest item of damage should be your pain and suffering, okay? Pain and suffering is the non-empirical. It's what 12 jurors here in Georgia. Other states have smaller juries, but here in Georgia it's 12 and it has to be unanimous. What those 12 strangers tell you your pain is worth, and that should be your biggest factor. So what we like to do to drive the wedge with adjusters is you're trying to get them off of their number one factor, which is, well, the bills. The bills are, you'll hear them say things like, well, the bills were only 10 grand. So here's $12,000. So $2,000 in pain and suffering. Again, you want to focus in on that pain and suffering, especially when you have smaller amount of bills, because the whole point being, look, this is still a valuable claim, the things I went through, because look at all the pain and suffering that I've had. What is 12 jurors going to give